Hi guys, welcome to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and we're talking about the big boom. At last, I got my time on my vacation to do this video. Uranus, North Node, and Mars co-joining at 18 degrees of the sign of Taurus between like July the 30th to October 3rd in its most exactitude. This is an influence, however, that you'll be feeling as early as July 20th and will last into the first week or so of August, and it's good energy and it's powerful energy and it's destabilizing energy. It's got a lot of stuff mixed in. In fact, I'm often thinking of this one as literally a big storm with a silver lining, or the rainbow at the end of a big storm. And that's the rainbow that Venus will give us from what is a big kaboom. Now, break through, break free, break down, break up. These are all amazingly importantly useful words to think about what happens when this kind of event, Mars and Uranus join, as well as rebellion, explosions, and calamity. I hate to say it, for the collective. Well, we also have sweet energy here with support from Venus, and we have some powerful elements of the degree of 18 that I'm going to talk about. Now, if you're new to my channel, welcome, and please like and subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. But I want to share how I work. I'm a Hellenistic whole sign astrologer. I use stars and asteroids, and I am literally really a predictive astrologer. I also like to look at the spiritual side of astrology and how it informs our evolution in humanity, which is why I'm calling this video the reality shift, triple conjunction. And reality shifts are when you have events that seem to like completely catapult you or springboard you into another version of your very own life, as if timelines are splitting. There's a quality of this particular Uranus North Node conjunction that is like that. The last time these three came together here in Taurus, believe it or not, was during the time of Alexander the Great, the year before he died, in fact, 324 BC, before Jesus. And so here we are again. It's kind of rare, right? And then there's a rarity, other factors of rarity. Like this is an every 15-year event in which the North Node of the moon, which is Rahu, the serpent's head, and it's our evolutionary impulse in our lives individually and collectively. And then Uranus, the god of change, unexpected, tower-like lightning strikes of shift are connecting. They do this every 15 years, and we reset a part of our life every 15 years. So if you go back to March of 2007, that big kaboom happened in the sign of Pisces. So for example, in the United States sibling natal chart, Pisces is a fourth house. Fourth house rules land, home, and real estate, as well as in that case, White House energy, perhaps, and also the opposition party to the ruling party. What happened was George Bush was president. Within 2 years, he was no longer president. Bill Clinton won. And secondly, the subprime loan scandal destabilized the stock markets. And that was the beginning of a downturn in the US economy. With the fourth house being the house of real estate, it was the trigger point. That's just a collective example, for you. And I will probably do a much longer video of at least 45 minutes, maybe with a fellow astrologer, around what this might mean over the next 15 years for the collective. Things like growing our own meat, new kinds of agriculture, community gardening, growing meat. Yeah, you heard me right. They're doing it already. Digital passports, unfortunately. A lot of movement towards smaller communities, even with this particular kaboom. And I will go into and new digital art forms. I'll go into really a lot of detail about the whole big picture for 15 years for humanity, okay, on another video. I don't want to do that here, but I will give you some temporary, short-term, mundane, or astrology that affects the world delineations now. And then we're going to go ahead and do all signs. Listen for your rising sign, most accurate. If you don't know your rising sign, check my description box to calculate your rising sign using one of my little mini tutorials and whole sign houses. It's a free get your own tutorial video, and you can figure that out. Otherwise, you can use your sun sign and your moon sign. They will have some degree of accuracy, especially the sun sign. And so hypothetically, if you're born at night, you may resonate with your moon sign more than a day baby resonating with their sun sign. In Hellenistic astrology, that's called your sect light. Now, one of the things I want to say is that, and don't forget to check my description box for everything I have going. Sister Nancy is an amazing healer. I'm in her home. Check her for 30% off for distance Reiki healing. She cured me of its SI joint dysfunction. I keep pitching her because I'm visiting her. And I also have I also have a lot of stuff coming up. You want to take my Sky Reader course in the fall, get on the wait list for that course for early bird notice. And there is a cap on how many students I take. And it's a deep dive into learning astrology from scratch already. And I have other classes. And if you're an astrologer and you're not getting anywhere financially, check out my Rock Your Astrobiz course as well. And it's scheduled for August. I might have to push it forward because of new travel plans, but it is coming up and it is in the description box. Okay, let's get going. Let's talk about the nature of Uranus for one thing. It is electrifying. It is downloads, insights. It's genius. It's eccentric. It's like staccato energy. It's not linear. It doesn't happen in a step-by-step way. It's from 0 to 100. It's out of the blue. It's shocking and awe-inspiring, shock and awe. So that's some Uranian words. He's the old sky god, Uranus. And yes, Uranus, call him what you like, same dude. And he was basically the dad of Saturn, and Saturn kind of had a fight with him. And, you know, in came Saturn, and then Jupiter took over from Saturn. This is the lineage of the gods. But I would say one of the value points of any time there's an involvement with Uranus is that we get a paradigm shift. A new reality opens up. Some new way of seeing the world, some new way of seeing your own life is about to pop in a big way. And normally it's just Uranus North Node every 15 years. This has got Uranus North Node Mars at 18 degrees. And so this has got a special energy of Mars, like the match that lights the fire, or he's in Taurus, who digs the shovel into the earth and finds something there. Mars is bringing something to the story. Now, Mars can represent your personal drive and will. And so whatever this big aha or shock and awe shift of awareness or change in your life is, it's going to bring you the action steps needed to fulfill it in some way over the course of the next 2 to 3 weeks from the shock and awe moment. Did I say that at the beginning of the video? Yeah, I did. So, you know, July 30th, August 1st and 2nd, kind of the pinnacle of this intensity. Now, you know, the thing about the 18th degree is it has a lot of meaning. And FYI, certainly, if you have any planets in the 18th degree of, or let's say this, we're going to use the engagement window between 15 and 21 degrees of the fixed signs. So Scorpio, Aquarius, Leo, and Taurus. Sun, moon, or rising in that degree range, right? So again, 15 to 21 degrees of those signs. This is going to really rock your world. Your life is changing. You're not going to be the same person when this thing is over. Like, you're having a big change, guys. And so this is a significant time. Just like in 2007, it was rocking the world of other signs. Virgo, Sagittarius, Gemini, and Pisces got all shook up, you know? So it's our turn, angular people, I'm an Aquarius rising, for our big paradigm shifting, reality shifting, wake up, shake up, break up, break through, break down, all of that energy. And in each of our charts, it's happening in a different house. There are 12 houses in astrology. Each house has a meaning: the house of your siblings, the house of your marriage partner, the house of your career. And then we can figure out where that shakeup is. So stay tuned for the all signs. Some people love to skip ahead and just ignore this content, and you're welcome to do that. But you'll get a lot more understanding of it if you just listen to the broad brushstrokes first. And I'll try to keep this under 15 minutes. So the 18th degree is connected to the Virgo degree in astrology. So Virgo rules health, also sacred magic and purity and cleansing energy, health and wellness through cleansing and purifying, purity. I know my hair is really frizzy here in the summer, guys. I'm a total frizz ball. And I would say to you, if you are in any place in your life where you're looking at purifying your life, your health, your habits, this is a time that this can really begin a new direction for you. And it's certainly me, I'm in my wine cleanse again. The other thing is that Virgo is definitely a connection in a lot of ways to the energy of the earth, because it's an earth sign. So there's going to be a quality of something to do with the earth. It's a Virgo degree in the sign of Taurus, an earth sign. I'm going to give you one of my fantasies for this story, honestly. The Sabian and the Pleiadian symbols for this, and these are like symbols that have been channeled for each degree of the zodiac, are very evocative. Okay, so I'm going to share that with you, because what if underneath the earth there's something we can't see, or underneath the ocean even, there's something underneath the surface of the earth that we can't see, like a hidden lost city, like a move, digging under the earth under the Sphinx and finding a UFO. I'm just making stuff up. But there's something very kind of like that I'm feeling in this. And this is where I'm more excited than scared. There's also a meteor shower happening at the end of the month, and the deltoid meteor showers coming out of the Aquarius part of the sky in the last week of July, first week of August. Not to scare anyone, but hey, you know, meteors could hit the earth, but they don't normally do that. The Sabian symbol for 19 Taurus, yes, this is happening at 18 Taurus, but Sabian and all symbols round up, is a newly formed continent. So that gives me kind of a vibe of some new continent being formed. It makes me think of the rising of the lost city of Atlantis. but it's also about a major paradigm shift, like a new territory being discovered for humanity. I think we will see in the next 15 years contact from off-world civilizations. And of course, I will not, well, I'll be around to see that. So will you. So you'll see, if you, we'll go back to this video, Lori called it. And lastly, the Pleiadian symbol is a magic mountain rises out of the waters. And there's another part about being able to download ideas in their entirety all at once. Now, pineal gland energy, ahas, downloads, that's very Uranian. And of all things, the Pleiadian symbol at 18 degrees is about magic mountains rising out of the waters and downloading ideas wholesale in one big swoop. But both those images make me think of some underwater discovery or some under earth discovery that will take place and be announced to the world sometime in the wake of this kabooming big boom energy. The other thing is it doesn't just go away. Okay, so it's going to be a return to this energy. So I want you to understand, number one, there's the nodes of fate, and they come, just long story short, because it's you can look at it from the mean node and the true node. There's a longer arc of time here between about July 20th and August 10th that the big kaboom is playing out, even though the epicenter of this reality shifting shock and awe is around the 1st and 2nd of August. Second of all, when this happens, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show it to you. I meant to do that. Let me grab this guy and bring the picture up for you. Okay. When this big shock and awe kaboom kicks into gear, I'm at my sister's house, everyone, just so you know. People always ask me, where the hell am I? This thing is the picture of what the sky looks like on August 1st. And the reason I chose this one is a couple of things. Well, I wanted to get all the bits and pieces in. This moon is approaching a star called Alkaid, the female mourners. It will be there on August the 1st. And Mercury is sitting with the asteroid America. He is square the big boom, Uranus, North Node, and Mars. And that is like unexpected, shocking news about something going on in the United States of America. Right. And you have Saturn also squaring the big boom, and that's called a T-square, which is very gnarly. And so what kind of announcements, rules, legislation, law, information about a king? Leo is about kingship. And I don't know why female mourners would apply to that. It's more like when Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the Supreme Court justice, passed away, that star was very active in her sky at the time. There was a progression to that star. So yeah, a lot of females mourned her death as a progressive female on the Supreme Court. And don't forget, I'm not political here. I'm in Canada. I'm just telling you what happened. And I think there's something here going on with Joe Biden. I announced that in my Leo new moon, recorded 2 days before his COVID announcement. Yes, I'm sure he's going to be fine in terms of, they'll give him Paxlovid, they are, and he'll be in the temporary zone of being fine. Okay, my concern is that's a temporary condition of being fine. And he is in his 8th house perfection age, the house of death. Yes, he has some protection from Jupiter. However, I am still saying it feels gnarly. And he's got a Jupiter square right now to his natal sun and to his own Jupiter. So Jupiter can bring blessed endings. I'm not saying he's going to pass away. I'm just telling you what I see. Also, with this energy, this incredible tension, female mourners, there could be a big earthquake, and it could be in the United States of America, or a flood, or some extreme weather event. This is very capable of fires going crazy because of the fact that the sun and Mercury are currently traveling through Leo, and therefore there could be one of the most destructive wildfires or fire situations that we've seen in a long time, even around the world, not just within the United States of America. But expect some kind of calamitous news along those lines. Mars Uranus back in January of 2021 was a part of that Insurrection Day in quotes event on Capitol Hill, the riot, the mob, whatever you want to call it, as well as it was connected to the inauguration day of Joe Biden. And so here we have a Uranus Mars event again connected to the last time these two got together, in this idea of Mars and Uranus saying, hey, inauguration day. And yeah, that happened in Taurus as well. Well, this kind of ties it back to something to do with the rule of the kingship of Joe Biden over USA of America. I did another video about Kamala, seeing her stepping into Joe's position within 2 years of his presidency. I did one long time ago. It's in my current events playlist. I still see that as likely true. It may just be stepping down for health reasons, that he gets long COVID, doesn't bounce back, or has cognitive decline increased because of the COVID. Not sure what. Okay. Long story short, the other thing I want to say about the degree 18 is not even long, it's a bit of a tidbit. There's a Serbian astrologer who does degree theory, in which he focuses on the meaning of various degrees. And he pointed out that the 18th degree on any sign is like the evil degree. And it has to do, his name is Nikolai Stefanovic, maybe. And it has to do with the idea, I'm sure his last name's wrong, that this degree brings death, calamity, hardship, evil, bad things. Okay. Well, I have my Mars at 18 Pisces, and I haven't really seen that to be true, but I thought I'd pass that on to you to give you another sort of omen portent. And lastly, within each of the signs, there's a 2.5 degree breakdown, and that creates like a mini sign within a sign. And it is the Sagittarius point, the 18th degree within the sign of Taurus. Sagittarius rules war, believe it or not, in the ancient world, because bow and archer fighting, and it rules things to do with, in our modern day, air travel and adventure. So both of those things are activated by the big boom. So there could be some big activation in the Ukraine situation. That's definitely a possibility, especially given Taurus is most likely Vladimir Putin's 7th house of visible enemies. And so I'm a little concerned about a big boom regarding an event in the Ukraine-Russia situation. I pray that it's not anything to do with nuclear weapons. Then on top of that, there is a situation of air travel maybe pulling back as Jupiter stations to retrograde. And that is also about a backpedaling on things to do with adventure and travel. And he will station retrograde in Aries. At the same time, the Sagittarius degree is now having this big boom. So the retrograde started on July 28th, of Jupiter, and it will go all the way through until the fall. So there's a strong possibility here until about the November 23rd that we unfortunately see a return to lockdowns, vaccine passports, mandates, and restrictions, but I certainly hope not, because the rebellion is here, right? Mars and Uranus and North Node is extreme upheaval regarding the theme of riots, rebellion, protests, civil disobedience on steroids. And therefore, if governments try anything like that, we may be seeing a huge backlash. And, it will be for a long time that Uranus is at 18 degrees. I mean, he's just sort of hovering there, he's not like just bouncing around getting ready to move. So I think he's literally hovering there. I'm trying to remember, I think I took a note to his degrees of hover. Let me see if I have it handy. Oh, I can't remember, but I could forward the chart to see how long he's sitting at 18 degrees. But the gist is he'll be there for at least all of August into September. And therefore, this is how long we could be seeing some of these kinds of events that I'm talking about. So I'm not saying there's just a rebellion on August 1st and then nothing else happens. No, this continues on and on and on and on into August, into September. Also, the couple of eclipses behind us are relevant for the collective. The Taurus eclipse, April 13th, new moon, 10 degrees of Taurus, is only 8 degrees off this particular big boom, as well as the Scorpio eclipse at 25 or 6 across the way. They're both kind of implicated here. There's a need to let go of secrets, to spill secrets, to release the hidden, to unveil what is unseen. These are South Node Taurus Scorpio transits, especially in the United States natal chart, in which literally Scorpio is in the US chart, the backroom deals and the secret negotiations of the 12th house. So some of these things will be spilled, all right, announced. And I can see that that's very likely going to be information that hasn't been disclosed about things the United States is up to, but I have no idea what, because of the Mercury on America. But the North Node stuff is a lot about where we expand, and we'll be gonna, guys, we're gonna have new agriculture systems, new food production systems, and all of that. The last time Uranus went through Taurus, we had the Great Depression, we had the Dust Bowl era, we had food shortages. It was like 1936 or 34 to 42. And we also had a new paradigm, right, regarding food availability to all, in which I think it was the president was Roosevelt, and he created this sort of New Deal, and the New Deal was about basically social welfare, but it was allowing people to be able to eat and not starve in the United States. So what kind of new structures could come into place about how we handle our food supply? Lastly, in the big picture, before I go to all signs, and I might do a deeper dive later at another time, I think I want to talk a little bit about the fact that this is happening in time of economic turbulence. And Taurus is the labor markets, but it also represents the economy in the United States, things to do with inflation or, gross domestic product and the labor markets. And it's going to likely look like a huge upheaval in the stock market, especially as later on in October, Uranus and Saturn square in the sky, which could bring a huge carnage in the markets, which are already down. There is a 42-year stock market cycle that we may be encountering right now, and that could be a part of what's going on, which is associated with a bear market. So, be cautious with your money. Don't put money where you can't afford to lose it. The stock market is not healed yet and probably won't be in the near term, certainly not before the end of this year. And lastly, if there is a disruption here, Uranus and Taurus brought us cryptocurrency. And because, Venus rules money and she's a ruler of Taurus. And so cryptocurrency, Uranus invention, Uranus, digital, it took off. It took off like crazy. But there is a square from Saturn that's baked into this particular 15-year cycle, which means governing bodies will try to control the use of autonomous and sovereign monetary systems that are separate from governance control and central banking. So there seems to be an ongoing, not quite yet, in terms of the promise that crypto had to bring incredible freedom to individuals to do their own banking ledgers and keep their money separate from the government. So in Canada, we had the trucker protest and the convoy against the vaccine mandates, and everyone in the world knows about it. And our government pulled off an Emergencies Act and froze not only bank accounts of the truckers and bank and credit cards, but anyone who donated to the cause, including like people who are trying to feed their freaking children, who are just everyday people who donated to what was a legal protest. And they donated even before, this was all like made into something evil by our government. Now, that kind of overreach where a government can take your bank account and freeze it is what this chart shows. It shows that the government is trying to control money that the people use in their lives as their wages or earnings or their daily life. Okay, especially, well, it's around the world, but it's really particularly gnarly in the US and North America. And so this is going to be an ongoing battle over the next 15 years. I don't know that it resolves at any singular point, but there you go. And last but not least, there is a sense of the long arc of the story over 15 years. So as I go through all signs, please consider that even though we're talking about an intense shift of perspective, a dramatic reorientation of some part of your life where you're breaking through, breaking down, breaking up, or breaking free, or all of the above, in a reality shifting new giant step into some new direction in your life. Even though that's true, and you're going to have to consider that whatever is going on in the next 2 or 3 months around this theme is indicative of a long arc of the next 15 years. Okay, I'll give myself an example. Right back in the day, when we had the Pisces boom in 2007, it was a start for me. Pisces is my second house of earnings as an Aquarius rising, of making my own money. And I launched my first product at tarot.com instead of being a housewife, basically. And I worked in the United States under cover because I didn't have the proper visa. My husband, I lived there. His visa worked, mine didn't. So anyway, I had one, but it was terrible to use for employment. And the long story short is this. I launched my first royalty producing, very successful product at tarot.com. It was a report called the Tarology Report. They just retired it like last year. It lasted like so many years, like 13 years with them. And I was getting royalty income from that all the way till the end. So here's the thing. That was the beginning of a big boom, a paradigm shift, my activation of my second house. It corresponded with the end of my marriage and the beginning of me becoming a wage earner and doing my own business stuff as well. So that was a huge paradigm shift. See what I mean? It lasted 15 years. Now I'm getting a new one as an Aquarius rising. All right, so that was my example for you. And there's so much more I could say, but I want to go on and I want to do the all signs. And I might get another, some kind of other astrologer, a friend of mine or two, to get together and do a panel on this sometime in the next week, because it might be fun for the super geeks to go into listening with an astrology crew on this storyline. I'm trying to see if my notes have something I missed. I've got to watch for those digital passports. There's a huge emphasis on the digital when it comes to travel that I think we're going to see in the world, unfortunately. you know, over the next few years, and a desire to almost like have a social credit system. The only thing I can say that saves the day is there is a strong element of rebellion that's baked into this chart, because Mars is like with Uranus, is a rebel energy. It's a riot. It's like the insurrection in January, which I know it's not an insurrection if you think it was all just a protest. I don't care. I'm not American, but that's baked in. So the people are fighting against, there's rebellion against the desire of governments to control the money, the resources of the people, and as well the travel, because don't forget the 18th degree is a Sagittarius degree, which is about trips and travel, especially air travel. Anything else? About October 1st to 12th this year, both Saturn and Uranus will be at 18 degrees in a square. It will reactivate whatever goes on in the world now and also in your life. This is just, of course, the build up to the US midterms, I believe, in the fall. So there's a lot of intensity there. And I think that's when they are. But in each of our individual lives, you might want to go October 1 to 12 and look to see how what goes on there is tied to whatever's going on here. This, you know, end of July, first week of August, we'll have a way to connect the dot. And of course, it will be tension, right, between Saturn and Uranus, which is already baked into this particular sky, but it will be somehow leading you a little further along the way in terms of this paradigm reality shifting new direction in your life. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to show you this sky all the way through. I know some people love it and some people don't. I'm considering. Okay, I think I'll keep it today because it's kind of complicated though. Let me see if I can take out Athena. And I want to really simplify this. And I don't even know why I left the Vestal Flame in. We'll take out the Vestal Flame. We'll take out Athena. We'll take out Juno. I just want to make it, if you're going to watch this, a very easy to look at sky. Easy on the eyes, right? Easy on the eyes, guys. Yeah. And I've lost my chart. Okay. There's a very good chance that you see what I don't see right now. All right, so there we go. So that makes it simple. You can see that there's that triple conjunction across the way from the south node. You see that Venus is loving it up in that beautiful sextile, baking in some positivity, a silver lining and a rainbow at the end of the storm to this triple conjunction in each of our lives. And you can see that you have this square from both Mercury and Saturn. Now, the moon coming into Alcade, and this is important in terms of the collective. Again, the star of female mourners may be kicking in July 30th, August 1st, August 2nd, for some reason. Therefore, people are mourning, and it doesn't have to be females, okay? It could be a natural disaster. It could be an accident of some kind. You know, I think with Fukushima, which I can't remember now, and that tidal wave, there was a Uranus North Node or Mars event. It's baked into my back end of my memory. So I think there was. So there's, if it's true, there's one example. So there just could be that kind of thing. 9/11, of course, often involved Mars Uranus events. So the trade tower episode. So there's things to think about here about how this might show up in terms of everyone mourning together, mass sorrow. All right, now I don't want to scare anyone. I should have had a trigger warning at the beginning of the video. All right, but we're going to go ahead anyway and do all signs. Now, I'm not going to start with Virgo. I am going to start with the traditional Aries people. And always let me know, guys, if you prefer to see the charts while I go through it, because I know that some people love this stuff. And then other people are just like, yeah, they get all bogged. They tell me they get bogged down in this and that gives them a migraine or something. All right, so here we go, right? Let's get started. And 1, 2, 3, we're going to roll through all signs and we're going to hit the highlights. So for you Aries, sun, moon, and rising, of which I am moon and sun, we see that there's a big boom in your money house. That's your second house. This is your earnings house, whole sign house. Don't tell me about your Placidus, co-campanus charts. Cast your chart in whole sign houses. That's how astrology works when you listen to everyone's YouTube channel. It's us, we're all temporarily delineating the chart with whole sign houses. So your second house is definitely saying there's a huge kaboom and shift in your earnings, your possessions, and your resources, the things you need to have food, shelter, water. Now, sometimes it can be like with Mars there, a huge and dramatic change of direction. because Mars is the god of change of direction in the ancient world, but you'll take time to implement it, and you'll have the drive and will to do it because of Taurus there. Taurus is where Mars is plodding. He's like a gardener. He's going slow. So you're really going to find that you may take your time, but this is the boom of, oh my gosh, I'm going to make money this way now, with us. Or you could have a disruption to your tradition, your finances. You could find that, you lose your job, the boss fires you, something dramatically shifts in your employment place or structure of earnings. It's not out of your control, but the universe is putting it in your path so that you can go into a more true and paradigm shifting new direction. So don't forget, when I talked about my Aquarius rising in 2007, that was the beginning of a long 15-year journey of earning my own money as an independent entrepreneur. And also, Venus is saying to you, Aries, here's some love from the 4th house. This can look like something to do with a new home or buying and selling real estate, or things to do with beauty and love and art and comfort in the home that support you financially to create a new earnings direction. So you may find that a safe, comfortable, nurtured home is going to be a part of this new direction for you. The other part of Venus down here is that this is definitely about family, especially family of origin. So there may be connections to your family of origin, maybe your parents that are playing out here, supporting you financially, giving you an opportunity, or the idea of the homeland being a relevant theme if you've moved away from your homeland, to how earnings and resources are going to radically and dramatically break down or break free or break through in your story. Having gone through this myself, I found it to be an amazingly positive thing. With Mars here, it's often about spending. Do you need to make a huge investment or expenditure you don't expect, and suddenly it reorients you towards your money? Or will you sell a possession? And don't forget, this is coming back in October, and there's another element of it back in the spring, in fact, in April, May, where it also returns in terms of activating this thing that's happening. And therefore, this could be selling a car, selling your favorite sofa, selling your art. You may start to sell some things, but you're divesting in order to grow a huge new direction in your financial wellness, as the 2nd house begins to be the place to watch for. With Saturn squaring your 2nd house, there's some naysayers here, and those naysayers may be, or there's some oppressive energy or some control from large groups of people or your social circles and friends who may not necessarily be cheering you on and kind of disapproving of what they see as a radical change of direction in your earnings or your career vocation path, and maybe where you live. And maybe people don't want you to move or don't think you should change your career path or something like that. So, you have to kind of, just realize that that's what's going to happen. You've been feeling a little Saturnian pressure to move away from old friendship groups anyway since December 2020. You understand that certain people aren't going to make the cut for the new you, and you're willing to let them go. And that's been in play already. Saturn here calls your friendships to the ones that are worth keeping and the ones that are worth enduring with. Now Mercury, Mercury is that news god in the 5th house. So he's a conjunct Asteroid America in the house of the muse, the performance, the stage, the 5th house of money, luck. Money luck. Well, certainly if you are an Aries, sun or moon, especially rising, you might want to play a Powerball ticket or a lottery ticket just around the time of the big kaboom, because why the heck not? Mercury is marketing, merchandise, and mercantile, but he's in the house of speculation, casinos, lotteries, horse races, money that comes through lucky wins. And he is talking, yes, in a square to the big kaboom, but he's got some Venus support. This kaboom has support from the goddess of money. So I can't say that it doesn't necessarily play out the way I just described. It could very well do so. And with the sun going through Leo with Mercury at the time of the kaboom, I just draw the sun in. Solar light is supporting you financially to be lucky during the time of this intense August 1st, July 30th, August 1st, 2nd timeframe. And remind you, I go into a lot more detail about the meanings of these degrees. In the beginning, the 18th degree has several layers of meaning. Please go back and listen if you want to dig into more of this. Finally, I've already mentioned your degree matters. So, less so right now for the Aries. This house is an aversion to you, but still, if your Aries sun or moon happens to be between 15 and 21 degrees, you'll get some resonance, like a reverb from this, but it's not as intense as other signs. It's very soft, subtle, energy. You, Aries, are not getting the rug pulled out from underneath you, basically is what I'm saying. This is actually more breakthrough than breakdown. And lastly, I guess, Venus, here's a tip for you all. I'm going to give it to each sign. Wherever Venus sits in your natal sky will help you understand what this big boom is about as well, which is the house that Venus sits in when you were born. And then you'll know also another layer of meaning about how this can play out. All right. So for example, back in 2007, the big boom, I need to close the window. Give me a minute. I smell like a toxic smell. My brother-in-law is finishing a desk and I get fumes from it. Whew. Coming back. Whew. I'm gonna get high doing this video. Jupiter is the ruler of the last big boom, and he exists in my house of earnings, and he means teacher, for instance, or expansion. So I not only did expand my personal earnings from 2007 at 15 years, but I did a lot of it by teaching classes. Okay. So it's very literal. So wherever Venus sits in your natal chart, which of the 12 houses gives you a clue, a big clue as to also how the big money boom will play out for you. All right, let's keep moving. My goal is to get this done in a timely manner so I can eat dinner. There, so Taurus, you can see the triple conjunction at 18 degrees in the house of you. This is huge. If you're a rising sign, especially, but sun and moon are between the degrees of 15 and 21, it's highly engaged for you. You really, 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 really feel this. It's a reinvention of self. You're redesigning, reforming, paradigm shifting, reality breaking through, energy, shock and awe about your identity, the way you want to show up in the world, who you are. Now, this is a house of your body, so be careful around July 30th to August 3rd about injuring yourself. Accidents, Mars, Uranus, sudden, North Node, bigger than you like. Just a heads up, be careful. Now, of course, wherever Venus sits in your particular natal sky when you were born, which of the 12 houses using whole sign houses, you're going to be able to know a little bit more about how this reality identity shift will play out. So, for example, my Taurus daughter has her Venus in the career house. So it's going to give her a new sense of career direction and purpose, and it'll be a radical reinvention of what she thought she was going to be doing. She's like in her early 20s. Also, if you want to talk about that Venus love up from the third house, Venus is sending beams of rainbows and silver linings to the boom, and she's doing it from that watery Cancer comfort zone, and she's doing it in that third house of the neighborhood you live in, online and online websites and platforms, skills-based learning. Now, for a Taurus, it could be a huge energy of wanting to, first of all, if you're single, you could find love from the local neighborhood, or, go to a bar, restaurant, pub, have some pleasure, enjoyment, and along comes your perfect partner. No doubt about that's a possibility in this big boom, which informs a whole new radical shifting identity, maybe because your partner is completely unlike anybody you've ever been with. You've always dated super straight square people, and now this is like a total rebel or some fantastical energy. But also the other thing is that Venus here can bring you the possibility of some positive directions in regards to creative communications projects, writing a thesis, writing a book, writing for a newspaper, writing a blog article, doing something online that becomes popular or viral, and it changes your identity. Sometimes this is your friends from childhood along the lines of your elementary school friends. So look for some news or information coming through a childhood friend, particularly a female. And this is a house of siblings. So for you Tauruses, look for information or news coming through a sibling during the big boom of July the 28th through to, or 29th, 30th, August 1st and 2nd kind of thing through that week. Okay. But it's really going to peak out around August 1st. Positive news, positive correspondence with a sibling, aunt, uncle, cousin, or friend from your childhood elementary school years. You do, oh, I'm so hot. I'm gonna have to go get a fan. I'll be right back. I cannot do it without a fan. Guys, it is too hot, and I can't open the window because it smells like toxic fumes. So I'm gonna pause the recording and get the. I'm back. I'm going to continue with Taurus with a fan blowing straight on me. Holy man, I cannot even begin to tell you. There's the kitty cat ashes, how sweltering I am. You guys are laughing at my last videos, which have just nothing but hot. All right, back to the screen of showing you the picture of the sky. And we were now talking about Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. And am I actually sharing that with you? I think I am, guys. I believe I am. So let me just make sure. Yeah, I am. Okay. So basically, I think I'm just about finished with you guys, but Mercury is in a square to Saturn, T-squaring the boom. This can be conflict between bosses, superiors, people in your who are above you or in the workspace above you, who are not particularly liking this reinvention of who you are. This is a 15-year story, right? And it could bake in a bit of tension between how people see you, how you see yourself, your reputation, feeling squished and constrained in the career path. At the same time, Mercury in that bottom of the sky is definitely bringing news or information about your home, where you live, your home life. And it could even connect to somebody that you're with, like a marriage partner as well, because of the South Node in the 7th. Now, if you're a Taurus rising and the South Node is going through your 7th, there's a lot of stress on your marriage or your primary relationship. And this definitely doesn't help. So if there's any chance that you need to break up in that break free, break down, break through storyline, then you may just do that. Okay. This is for the Taurus rising particularly. It's way less so for the Taurus sun and moon. All right, anything else I want to let you know about? They think that's about it. Don't forget, you are reinventing you. The universe is reinventing you. You are expanding and growing into your big girl, big boy panties of some kind. There's an expansion of identity, and it's got excitement to it. It's exhilarating. It could come through insight, revelation, and you got Venus to help you. Even if you injure yourself, which is my only caution, especially for the 50 to 21 degree people of sun, moon, and rising Taurus, you got Venus to, help lick your wounds, pick up the pieces and make sure it all smooths on out. Oh, I almost forgot. Venus is in the house of trips and travel. So you may have an opportunity to emerge for a short distance trip or travel event coming up in the first week of August, where it's revealed to you. And then later on, as I said, in October 1st to 12th, when this energy gets reactivated by Saturn, Uranus square at 18 degrees of Taurus, there's something about any travel you do in the first week or two of August connected to another opportunity, maybe events or travel or something going on again in October. So there's that story that's later on. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising. So in your natal sky, you get the energy of the boom in a very soft landing place. This is unlike other signs, both because it's a house, it's in aversion, plus a 12th house on its own right, aversion to your ascendant, Gemini. But it's also the house that's very subtle. It has to do with the inner life, your dreams at night, your meditations, your inner imagination, your spirituality. It's about enlightenment. If you're looking for enlightenment, nothing like a kaboom. For some of you Geminis, you could find enlightenment happening. It's a house of hospitals. And so you may also have somebody suddenly in the hospital, maybe an accident with Uranus you have to attend to the very end of July and the first week of August. Of course, with a critical date being around August the 1st. I also would say to you, though, that there's a sweet lining, silver lining, rainbow at the end of this whole mess from the beautiful Venus energy here. If you have an addiction, a self-undoing, a bad food habit, smoking, drinking, things you put in your mouth, Venus is in the house of mouth pleasures here, the second house. And so this would be her reforming the way you choose to eat, the food you have, the way that you have that addiction of something, wine, tobacco, doesn't matter, whatever goes in your mouth. And this is going to come to a dramatic end. Basically, Mars is cutting, ending. Uranus is sudden, explosive. I mean, lots of ways this could play out. South Node is in the house of sickness. You get a doctor's note saying if you don't stop drinking, you're going to have pancreatic failure. If you don't stop eating that sweet stuff, you're going to die of diabetes or whatever. Your blood work doesn't look good or some stuff. So pay attention to dramatic reorientations around health and wellness and how you eat and what food style you're eating because of that North Node, South Node axis pointing at the house of things that go in your mouth. Finally, PayPal, Stripe payment processors are 12th house. It's third from third, if you're into why. And Venus is a money goddess in a money house, and she's sextiling the big boom. No doubt about it. For some of you Geminis, there's a 15-year cycle emerging of not only better health and healthcare and less addiction, but a huge uplift in your finances from things you're doing in the behind the scenes place, the 12th house. So for example, if you had a public profile career, this is pretty quiet and laid back. No one notices you're there, or it's your, like, you know, PayPal, Stripe accounts are going to burgeon in the next 15 years. Finally, there's a lot of tension up in the ninth house. Could be a priest, a minister, a pastor, a mentor, a spiritual authority, a father or father figure. Saturn in the ninth is a professor. It's squishing you a bit, making you feel like something's not quite nice here in the big boom time frame. And you know, you got to watch for that. It's a temporary influence, but it will be back again. You'll be feeling it in the first 10 days or 12 days of October. So keep your eye on that one. And then you also have a restriction around travel. So foreign lands travel is 12th and 9th. Saturn is squaring the boom, a sudden trip cancellation, a sudden stopping of a trip that you wanted to take, a sudden disruption of a legal matter in a court situation that's not going forward in the way you wanted. These are all temporary, but these are things that may be occurring in the first week of August or at the very end of July. Mercury in your third house of travel and trips as well, especially on Asteroid America, could be about the United States decides to put some new regulation in for travel. Like Canada did it. You couldn't travel domestically without 2 vaccines. I can't see that flying with the States, but could be a national decision around flights to do with vaccine policy. And all of a sudden the United States says everyone has to be vaccinated to get on a plane to another country or something. I have no idea. But you have to watch out for whatever this is. It definitely is going to impinge upon your travel. And lastly, it could impinge upon your learning, academic learning, 9th house, skills-based learning, 3rd house. So some kind of disruption in the learning environment may happen here for you as well. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising. Okay, guys, guess what? This is going to be a very interesting development. It's mostly positive because it's not only do you have Venus in the house of you, but this is a sextile from the big boom to your ascendant. If your rising sun or moon Cancer energy is 18 to 21 degrees, 15 to 21 degrees of the sign of Cancer, you really get the most out of this. The boom is coming from the house of good spirit, the big paradigm reality shift, which is extremely exciting because it's a positive house full of luck and opportunity and karmic reward. You get the most if you know your chart to find where is Venus in your sky, which house is she in, because then it'll tell you a lot more. I might do a little mini webinar, paid but fast and dirty, to help people walk them through how to nuance their own chart on this if I have time, but I probably won't have time. I'm on vacation. But here's the deal. The flavor of all of these depend a lot on where Venus sits in your sky. Okay, so I'm just giving you the general gist. You could have an incredible, sudden, exciting development with a friend who wants to support you, help you, favors from friends out of the blue, left fielders that really, really wake up, support, and juice you up, particularly bring you a greater sense of wellness, happiness, joy, play, pleasure, and beauty as Venus is joining you in the house of you. You're charismatic and persuasive. Your diva and star energy is sparkling. You are a sparkling star as a result of this big boom, and you could be famous and popular in the 15 years that follow with this combination baked in as a theme for that time, for sure. Mercury in America in the 2nd house of earnings could be about making money in the Americas, but it also could be North America, US, but it also could be about the idea of this tension between Saturn and Uranus, Saturn and Mercury. Saturn wants you to be steady and careful with your investments and to get an advisor and to figure out what to do with your 401k and to figure your taxes out and not take risks since 2020, Cancer. But then Mercury is opposing this Saturn and he's got other things up his sleeve, and that's maybe some ambitions around money making, marketing, merchandising strategies in the 2nd house of earnings or selling of possessions. And Saturn might say, hold on to that possession, you really need it. And then Mercury goes, no, for freak's sakes, bust away and sell it. You don't need it. That kind of thing could be happening end of July, 1st week of August, and indicative of something later, the first 10 days of October that repeat that storyline or further deepen it in some way. With this energy of Saturn squaring the big boom, you may have to watch out for some difficult financial stuff going on with taxes, 401k, stock investments. That makes you wonder if this big reinvention favor thing that's going on, where you could be sort of a star in some area over the next 15 years, really popular, really lighting up the sky, really finding yourself flying into great gains of fame, reputation, and career success. You may start to wonder if that's true, but Saturn here isn't necessarily a bad guy, I have to say. He's helping you stabilize your money because he's in dignity. And I think that's about all I'm going to say. We're going to keep going. I'm still hot. Oh my God. Oh my God, give me a freaking mop. I'd have the window open if it didn't smell like fumes from a refinished table or something outside. All right, maybe I should put the fan in my face and blow it right out my head. Anyway, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So Leonine folk out there, you big lions with big hair. This is a boom in your career zone. This is a paradigm, reality shifting, breakthrough, breakdown, break free energy. Where are you reinventing, being reinvented in your purpose, career, and reputation, and ambition and success? 10th house, for sure. This is a breakthrough in your career. Now, it can be a breakthrough, right? So you might be doing something you love, you're on the right path, and then boom, breakthrough. And breakthrough can happen through a woman in the back end, or support behind the scenes financially, or these are Venus stories, or through some insight or dream, or even from an ancestor relative backing you up from the dead, making it up. But that's kind of weird Venus in the 12th stuff. And you're going to have this like huge energy of explosion in a maybe very positive way, because Venus is there in your career story. The same thing is to be said if you don't like your career, if you're on the wrong path. This is a break away, break down, break up from that career path, to open up a new corridor, a new direction, a new exciting direction in purpose, career, ambition, and success. Don't forget, it's going to take 15 years to unroll and unfold, but pay attention to October 1st to 12th, because you're going to get more of a sense, as Saturn and Uranus are both going to be at 18 degrees then, and they're going to recapitulate or replay some of this big boom for you in the career zone. Now, a loved one, a business partner, or a client, or your main partner, your love partner may object. I object, Your Honor, to this direction your career is taking. That's a square from Saturn in the house of other, and it's a house of known enemies. So if someone doesn't have your back and they really don't like you, and you already know it, this person could come into opposition against your career redirection and reshaping and you know, here's a problem with Uranus. Things are unexpected. They're left fielders out of the blue. So we're doing our best as astrologers, all of us on YouTube right now, to try to delineate this for you. But it can be such a outside of the box thing with Uranus that who knows, right? But big developments could be definitely happening in which someone's opposing, objecting, or having giving you a hard time. Mercury similarly in the house of you is you, bombastic and combative, you know, square Mars, you know, shouting out, messaging harshly to that person who's squashing and raining on your parade, whether it's your marriage partner, business partner, or gnarly client or open enemy. So be careful for that, because with Mercury there on Leo, he's very much like the mad king maybe in this episode of your life, where you make very bold and argumentative and angry announcements that could shock and awe somebody in your life and cause just deep disruption of the relationship. For those of you Leo risings who are married or in a long-term relationship, or Leo sun and moon as well, this has also been a time of great distress as Saturn goes through your primary relationship house and may be destabilizing that long-term love story or marriage. And, you know, reminding everyone, Leo, you know, those degrees of 15 degrees to 21 degrees of the sign of Leo, sun, moon, or rising sign. And those degrees are highly, highly involved in this story, if that's one of you, especially because this is the angular version. So there's, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you will listen and go back and listen, there's a lot of good stuff you would have missed. It is the angular signs. They are the fixed angular signs are getting all the juice out of this thing really intensely. The Leo, the Taurus, the Aquarians, and the Scorpions of the world. Moving forward. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You guys are having this big boom in your ninth house. It's beautifully intense for your spiritual life. If you have any inclinations for becoming awake spiritually, for breaking outside of the matrix, for understanding the meaning of God, for enlightenment, this is good. This could bring that to you. This is the house of God. It brings a direct experience of the divine. It is very powerful. However, you could break up with the church. You could leave a religious community. You could break through the need for one, radical reinvention. Uranus like started there in 2018. You might have been like, I'm done with the church. I'm done with that spiritual teacher. I'm done with that religious community. I'm done with that. It's also the house of higher education. And this could mean a huge radical shift in your goals in your higher educational path. You may quit university. You may change your course. You may change your major. You make a major shift here of some kind. Or you could conversely, because it's still in play October 1st to 12th, have a major exciting breakthroughs in your academic environment where you as a teacher or professor or student are having some massive expansion and paradigm shifting action happening here. My daughter's a Virgo rising in her last year of university. I hope she's not quitting, but she might. But she also may take one course. It rocks her world and changes her perspective of her career path. So just an example. It's a house of foreign lands. Another Virgo friend of mine wants to move to another country for 2 years, have a big get a broad experience. This is a big shakeup here. It could be a disruption of those goals. It could be a wake up of those goals. It could be the actualization of that dream, which is going to play out over the next 15 years. And you can also find that for you, Virgo people, with the ruler of your sign in the house of hidden enemies, in the back room of the 12th house, in the place that's hidden, there could be a problem in which there is some interference behind the scenes from somebody who's objecting to your goals around foreign lands, travel, higher education. Because it's a Leonine energy, it could definitely be a solar figure, which would be a masculine figure. And, the ninth house is the house of the father in Vedic astrology. If your father is around, and alive, then this can be a disruption in his life that is impacting you. Okay. It doesn't mean a disruption in your father's life could impact you directly. You do have Saturn in the house of karmic debt, illness, sickness, health protocols, daily work routines, and all of that. Now, Saturn's been here since 2020, stabilizing the best he can your health, trying to give you discipline, perseverance, and dedication and follow through to bettering your health. All right, that's just that. And as it goes through this part of your sky, you are like, my daughter's become a fiendish bodybuilder during this period and like totally into her health, works in a gym. So you see what I mean, right? And she's also cleared up some really chronic health challenges. But until Saturn entirely leaves there, which is March of next year, most Virgos will be on this mission to stabilize and get their health stuff squared away. So keep that in mind. I would also suggest that with Saturn here, somebody in your workspace, particularly a boss in your job space, may be opposing what's going on in your travel, foreign travel, higher education, courts and courtroom space. Okay, you've got conflict energy from a boss or authority in your workspace. Like an example, very simple, is my daughter's going to go back to school full time, and her boss may not want to keep her on because she works there like all the time right now in the summer. I don't know. And these are very light examples, but I'm trying to give you real ones. The love up from Venus is so beautiful because this is friends and allies, especially females, who are going to really support you in this ninth house place of transforming your spiritual beliefs, transforming and radically reinventing your career path, your educational path, your dharmic path, what you think your meaning of your life is, and things to do with your desires for foreign lands and travel as well. So Venus could be like friends who just simply show up with incredible opportunities for you. And they're all going to be very good and supportive of the big picture, which is what is the thing that you want to do with that ninth house? What path are you on? Ninth house is quite often the meaning. What's the meaning of your life? What kind of big event's going to jolt in? I'm kind of like, what's the meaning of my life? What am I really here for? What do I want? What do I care about? Mars is about what you want to take action on, and Venus is the sign. It's just, Venus is about what you desire, and Mars is the action plan and direction and momentum through your will to make it true. So what you desire are you going to encounter, maybe stimulated by Venus in the 11th, a friend. Venus in the 11th can also be a windfall, a financial windfall. It may give you some freedom to understand and question what carrot you've been chasing and what carrot you really wanted to chase all along. What is the satisfaction here in the meaning of your life? Libra, sun, moon, rising. Well, boom, paradigm shift, breakthrough, breakdown, break up, break free in your eighth house of bank loans and mortgages, taxes and tax rebates, speculative investments and regular investments in the stock markets. Well, if you still have money in the markets, this could be quite destabilizing. And don't forget, this energy comes back in October for the first 10 days. So if you are a Libra between 15 to 21 degrees rising, or sun and moon sign in those degrees, 15 to 21, this is a time to be a little bit cautious about where your investment monies are. On the other hand, it could equally play out as a breakthrough where you buy something low and you are able to sell it high, and it's coming back in October 1st to 12th. So whatever is percolating here around August, the first end of July, first week of August, in this big boom, this is a time where you can find yourself having a dramatic 15-year cycle in which a lot of your money success is coming out of the eighth house. So it's less about your day job, your earnings, your paychecks, your wages, your salary. And it's a lot more about how you make money for you, how you may be able to do that through real estate, buying and selling property, flipping stocks, marrying somebody and sharing resources with them, finding the ideal business partner to collaborate with. All of those are possible. Chunks of money, including inheritances for Libras, are possible because this is a house of inheritance. Now, Mars can often bring an inheritance when he moves through the eighth house, right? Because it means cutting and severing. So someone's leaving, right? Someone's passing. If you know where Venus sits in your own natal sky, it'll give you a lot more clarity about how that might really play out in terms of which house your natal Venus is in. But Venus in the sky at the time of the big boom is in your 10th house, and the 10th house is your career path. And this is support from women in the career space. Now, it doesn't mean your job space, like go to work every day. Like, let's say your day job is an accountant, but your livelihood is a tarot reader. Your passion livelihood, where you're aiming to go, you know, the thing that you want to really be doing. Well, maybe this is like a colleague in that space, right? It doesn't have to be actually in the workspace, but it can be. And it could be a female colleague or a female in the same professional space, supporting this financial reorientation here, moving you away, South Node in the second. And this is a 15-year story. You're basically not going to make money through wages for much longer. A lot of Libra rising, but sun and moon are orienting towards money that makes money for them. Money while you sleep, passive income, stuff like that. You got some objections from Saturn. This could be your lover, your sexual partner. This has been a tough one for Libras on your sex life since 2020 December, where since Saturn is there, things may have slowed down. Your love life may have kind of been grinding to a halt, or your sex life may have been tepid or hard to get going. And your fun, play, and pleasure is not there either. You're not enjoying your life like you really want to. Now, from this part of the unenjoyment house right now, Saturn is in a square to the big boom. So maybe this big boom, you need to take action in the money story. That's going to be requiring a lot of hard work, and it means the forego of pleasure and play, at least until Saturn leaves that part of your chart in next March. Okay, with Mercury in that square as well, you could get some hard news or communication, email, phone call, let's say July 30th to August 4th or so, even from somebody. Mercury is a messenger in your large social groups and friendship circles and networks. And so this may hit you a little bit at the wrong angle, in which you are not pleased about this correspondence with this 11th house character. And it could be some sense of a disapproval or criticism or something harsh, okay? Because Mars, Mercury gets often harsh words, energy spoken. You're not speaking them. Someone's delivering it to you in the social networks. Because the big boom is in the house of secrets, a friend could divulge a secret that upsets you. And maybe, you didn't want to know what you were told. So that's another thought. It's more of a sidebar story in some ways too, because in a 15-year arc, this is a micro story, right? This is happening now, but the big shift, the big boom shift is definitely in the 8th. And, that's the key. Money is coming to you. Your wealth will increase. This is a very rags to riches vibe. And if you already have riches, it's riches to greater riches. So yay, Libras. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. So you guys are experiencing the boom in your marriage house. And if you're a Scorpio, there's a big dramatic shift there. It's also the house of business partners. Now, it can be about your partner, not you. They're having a big shift. They're having some incredibly intense energy hit them at the end of July, early August, and you're just a bystander, but it will impact you because you're there and you're across the way in the first house with your ascendant. If you're a Scorpio and your rising sign is between 15 and 21 degrees, this is going to be huge energy, very intense, because Venus is sextiling this part of the sky, bringing the rainbow or the silver lining of this big reality shifting breakup, breakthrough, breakdown, break away energy. This could also be support from foreign lands and travel, higher education, book publishing, and court and legal stuff. And so, you know, the Judge S rules in your favor. The female attorney pulls out a miracle if you're in any legal disputes. But mostly, this, you know, Mars has been going through your house of primary relationship for a bit now. And that can mean that you're having some arguments with your partner, or they're arguing with you. But also you could have a breakthrough with your partner. And this could be a shift that completely changes the trajectory of the relationship for the better. So it's not always like negative, right? Like if people get fixated on the negative, it's not always like that. And because this is at the this is happening at the Virgo degree, right? As I mentioned, which is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury sitting in that 10th house. He's like up there and he's like in Leo, and he's looking down and over at this big boom. And it feels like to me what he's saying is there's tension between the career space and the marriage space, or between the business partner arrangements and the career ambitions. Mercury could be a news being delivered, information being delivered from boss, colleagues, and higher ups. And it's not necessarily well received by your partner, or news and information that your partner is getting, giving to you, that disrupts your career plans and your career success, because Mercury up there is not necessarily not in a happy, you might be happy in that work up there. You might be having a good time. And your partner says, I never see you anymore, and you're never home, and I want to quit this boring relationship because we're not here to watch Netflix ever together. Saturn in the 4th house. Okay, this is about real estate, and you feel that weight of that, right? I mean, so 2 years now, you've been wanting maybe to renovate, sell, move, change your home. You've been feeling heavy in the home. The home has felt difficult. We had a pandemic, isolation in the home. That was a part of it. Solitary endeavors in the home. All right, Scorpio, but there's a yearning to change your home. With Venus in the house of visas, for some Scorpios, it's like getting your visa to travel or your visa to move somewhere. But in some ways, until March, when Saturn leaves that place in your sky, home feels like an obligation or a duty, or real estate, land, property feel heavy. And this energy of being bound to that heaviness around the home is squaring the big boom in the 7th. And again, it could be about your partner, and they say, like, they share the mortgage with you, and they're going to like vacate, and that brings even more tension in the home around your payment processing of your mortgage. Who knows? But there's this definitely intensity. Lastly, you know, the 7th house is legal contracts, like signing a contract to sell a home, and signing a document to, you know, take a new job. I like the home sale myself, and it could be that finally you do sell a property that you've been trying to unload, but it's not as happy as all that. Saturn is in dignity, but he's still Saturn. It's sober and realistic pricing as you're able to release and let go of something to do with property, right? Funny enough, if you need a mortgage with the square from Mercury, the ruler of your mortgage, 8th house, you probably also are frustrated to buy a home, not being able to get the mortgage you want, or not get the price you want for the sale of your home. But this big boom can look like, especially October 1st to 10th, like finally getting around to selling a property that you've been trying to sell, or get a development in your home space and your place to live that you've been aiming at for a while. Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign. Sagittarius, you are having the big boom in your 6th house of health protocols, workaday routines, colleagues and co-workers. Now, this may not be about you, health protocols. This could be a dramatic and shocking change in the work environment where a colleague or a co-worker leaves, opening up some opportunity for you in this house of work. This is also about health that has to do with sickness and shock, awe, left fielders. It could be the revelation of a health challenge that you or someone you know is going through, most likely you. Wherever Venus sits in your natal chart will tell us more about that, which is why you should see an astrologer or maybe take a webinar if I can get time to pull it off. The Venus is softening the deal, giving you rainbows and silver linings, at least from the 8th house of inheritances, the 8th house of other people's money, the 8th house of bank loans and mortgages and investment money. So because it's a house of sickness, it truly could be something to do with potentially an inheritance through somebody having an illness or an accident. I mean, Mars is in his joy in the 6th house. So he's doing his best to bring it, and maybe the person's overdue for leaving the earth. And Mars is in a sextile to Venus. This can look like secret love affairs in the office, but you're having a lot of fun and enjoying that at the end of July, early August, and look to the first week of October for a return of this energy. But we're talking about the next 15 years. So your 6th house becomes the new playground. So you're changing your work, you're expanding your work. The work is changing, and so are your health routines and health in general. Saturn and Mercury in opposition. Okay, there's tension and opposition from these two to the big boom. And it looks like Saturn in the 3rd house is a sibling who's raining on your parade, maybe aunt, uncle, cousin, nephew, difficulty with trips and travel, not working out the way you want. Maybe a sense of the neighborhood is no longer satisfying you, feeling weighed down by your local neighborhood. Yet Mercury at the same time squares as well this intense boom. And this could be news about something from a foreign shore or an academic setting or a legal or court matter that is also giving you some challenges around that area of your sky that represents your work and health stuff. I would say that Mercury in the 9th house is really good at travel. It's one of his things. You know, he's a patron of travelers and keeps them safe. And this could look like a trip that's going to interfere with your work, but you're okay with it. And then maybe that's the end of that work path because you'd rather travel than do the work. Just an example. Venus is securing some financial resources for you over the next 15 years. So if you make dramatic changes in the work you do in the world and the career path you're on, not to worry. Venus is saying, I got your back, your money will be fine. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising signs. So Cappies, this is going to be the boom in your 5th house of romantic love. If you are a single Capricorn looking for love in all the right places, for sure, this could look like a dramatic and exciting and fast moving new romance picking up speed at the end of July into August. And you will be really, really excited by that because it's Uranus. It's someone it's either taking off quickly or unexpected. It's coming up unexpectedly, but there's this romantic vibe. Now your children are the 5th house. So this definitely could mean that one of your children has some exciting developments and news, and it impacts you as well because it's in your sky and you may actually inform your next 15 years. If you want to have a child, Uranus is accidental pregnancy. Mars is abortion and miscarriage, but North Node is expanding. Could be a quandary end of July, early August around to keep or not keep a child. And I'm not telling you my beliefs in that. I'm just telling you what the sky says. But also the idea of romance. Let's get back to that. This 5th house is like romantic and sexual love, right? And the 7th house is marriage and commitment, and they're not necessarily separate, but they're two different energies. So if you have a relationship with someone that's based on sex, right? Like the foundation is sexual, not necessarily building a family or committing to the long haul, or, not in it for those, real long-term reasons. And this could disrupt that relationship in the short term, end of July into early August. And again, the first 10 days of October. So if a relationship busts out during this time, and you will have Jupiter retrograding your 4th house of home at the same time, which could be changes in the home that are significant, like, a partner moves out or something, but I don't know for sure. But whatever's going on in that 5th house, I'll say it's like make or break. It's a make or break time for a love relationship. If it makes, it's great. It's going to form a new kind of relationship over the next 15 years. And if it breaks, it's meant to break. So make or break in the love and romance corridor for a lot of Capricorn rising, sun and moon. If your rising sign is between, or sun and moon, 15 to 21 degrees, you really get a lot of this. You feel it more strongly than other Capricorns. You also have some love from Venus in the commitment house. Now, that again is why I think it's make or break. Venus here is wanting to commit to love and make it steady and safe and compatible and comfortable in Cancer and nurturing. A good question is this love relationship nurturing to you? But nonetheless, Venus's silver lining, should a relationship break, is it bringing in a committed, nurturing love relationship. So if you find your current relationship is lacking in pleasure, fun, play, and nurturance, Venus in the 7th, then this could break it. If it's already there, it will intensify, solidify, and strengthen the relationship. It's not lukewarm, it's on and off, it's hot and cold, it's binary for a lot of Capricorns in this condition. The exception being if you're going to meet somebody, okay, then it bakes in nurturant, long lasting, and it bakes in exciting and exhilarating and fast moving love story. Mercury is a little bit gnarly up here. He's in the house of marketing and merchandising of the stock markets, and mercantile is one of his things. He rules the stock markets. He is in a square to the boom. You want to have fun and pleasure, and you want to go on big adventures and leisure activities with a romantic partner, but you just lost your socks in the stock market or something. Be careful. And then Saturn is squaring from the 2nd house of money. You're feeling crunched on the money story, Capricorns, and it's at odds with your desire to bust out in some relationship love vibe or to support your child, yeah, financially, whether they're young adults or children, I don't know. Or your money's feeling crunchy and somebody gets accidentally pregnant and now you feel stressed. So this is the end of July into August. Certainly the big boom in the fertility house. The reason this could be a new 15-year cycle is some Capricorns have a baby, okay? Whether you're the man or the woman, it doesn't matter, because it's like your time for a baby that comes unexpectedly. And lastly, I would say to keep your eye on that October 1st to the 12th for some kind of deepening and repeat of what's going on here. So even though I said it's make or break end of July and August, if you patch it together and sort of cobble things together, and by the end of August, you think it's all worked out, if it's a breakup vibe, yeah, then the first week of October will tell you what the real deal is, okay? Similar with your financial situation, the stress you feel at the end of July into the first week or so of August, or the shock and awe around money and finances and investments, that could really be clearly returning with its final story, distress signal, or solution resolution clarity in the first week of October. I'm Aquarius sun, I'm an Aquarius rising. For us, Aquarius rising, sun, moon, and all of that between the degrees of 15 to 21, my rising is 16 Aquarius. We get a lot of this energy for sure. We're feeling it. We've been feeling that Saturn square Uranus all through 21. That happened 3 times, by the way, back in 21, February, June, and December. We're used to this intense energy between self and home. So I included a move for me or across the country driving my car. I don't think I can do one more cross country drive that happened last summer during the 2nd square of Saturn and Uranus. So here we are, Aquarius. We are like living through our Lord of our sign, moving through our sign since December of 20, although we tiptoed in spring of 20. Oh, sorry. Yeah, spring of 20, and then full-time December of the 19th of 2020. So we're being realistic, we're being serious, we're being sober-minded, we're being sage-like, we're being wise and masterful. We're moving ourselves into that territory of the wiser version of Saturn. We're giving ourselves rules to live by, not anyone else's rules, Aquarius. We're finding our own rules to live by. And that's outside the box of any structure, because that's what happens when Saturn goes through the house of us, and we are fortifying our health as well. And in all of that said and done, the big boom is happening in our 4th house. And this is a dramatic change of home. Now, let's put it this way. Let's go back to 2018, May to October, and then later on, March of 2019 onward, or February, when Uranus entered into our 4th house. So it was March of 2020. Anyway, long story short, or 19, we have a nomad transit. And I've said this in many videos, our home is unstable. This is not going to be unstable after this for many of us. This big boom is this landing pad for the next 15 years. We've been waiting for this moment to make the decisive action plan to move in the direction Mars of a new home. That's the right home for us in the long haul. Why do we know that? Venus is sextiling the right home, loving it up from comfort, nurturance, cozy, safe, motherly energy of Cancer, from the 6th house of karmic debts, from the 6th house of work and service, from the 6th house of funny enough, relationships, the seventh house is our commitment phase, and we're dating in the sixth house often. We meet the lover in the fifth, we date in the sixth, and we seal the deal in the seventh. So maybe someone you're dating is involved in this move, but not always that, but it could be that. But the vibe is so good. This is like the silver lining. Yes, there's a final change, a big boom. You're moving again, or changing your home, or buying or selling a home or something, but you feel like this is going to be a sweet place to go. Now, the energy from the Venus can be do with females, sisters, or women in your life who are supporting you and collaborating with you, or giving you a lot of love in this idea of the rehoming, new homing energy. You can also look at the fact that this is at 18 degrees, and I mentioned it is the sign is connected to Virgo. And so this new home has a sense of being a place where you can be healthy and well, purify your body, and things like that. One of the Virgo meanings is medical wellness and health. And it's very magical. Do sacred ceremonies around your new fireplace or something as well. You're being called here to really let this boom take you where it's supposed to, without your own Saturn in the first house, doubt, fear, anxiety, or resistance. As much as we love Saturn in our first house because we feel like, yay, us again, we're really on our Saturnian game. This is where we lose the faith and we get stuck in our very cautious Saturnian ways. Go slow, be careful, make sure. And yet Uranus, boom, sudden, fast moving, exciting home change. And let's see what happens. You may have known about what this might be as early as July 20th, when the North Node, True Node, was connecting with, was it true or mean? I think it was true, was connecting with the energy of Uranus. And as I said earlier in the beginning, if you had a chance to listen, I mean, there's a longer arc of the nodal influence here between July 20th and August the 10th. Okay, but it was the mean node July 20th. So you might have had an inkling of where this boom is taking you as early as July 20th. You have some resistance from Mercury in the seventh. These are people in your life, that clients, marriage partners, business partners, who may be not so greatly happy about this idea of your relocation move or change of home, or change of things you do in the home, or dramatically reinventing your nest or your home. So watch for that. You know, it's a house of open enemies, the seventh house. People who you know don't have your back can be in the seventh house. So if you feel like someone is giving you verbal flack for your choices, or your inception of choices, just dismiss them. October, the beginning of October, the first 12 days, you're going to find that some of this is really sticking the landing as you go through that last Saturn Uranus square that you had that moved me, for instance, last summer. And so this is kind of like the completing of the plans, the finalizing of the plans. And it doesn't necessarily have to be difficult, but you may feel impatient. Saturn and Uranus is like frustration. And so you may be impatient to execute something. You want to, Saturn wants to slow down, Uranus wants to take off like a rocket. So keep that in mind as well. You know, it is at the Sagittarius degree as well, the 18th degree, and that could involve, because Jupiter rules Sag and he's moving through your third house. It could move, it could be about trips and travel you're taking in October as well, that are going to solidify this, what looks like a significant and lasting relocation. Now, lastly, it's also the idea, wherever Venus sits in your natal sky, of what this is for. Like my Venus is in my fourth house in Taurus. So it really is about a beautiful new home, a beautiful, loving new home full of sensual pleasures or something like that. But if Venus was in my career house, I would be a new home connected to a career opportunity. If she was in my marriage house, a new home connected to my marriage partner. So you have to suss this out by knowing where Venus sits in your natal sky as well. I don't know if there's anything else to say here. You're definitely letting go of an old career path. You know, the Scorpio is pulling the plug on the bathtub is leaking in your career path. I'm an astrologer. I can't imagine not doing that. But I want to get back to my fiction writing. I just started another new novel. And so maybe I'll be working a lot less as an astrologer. Perhaps I'll be just teaching, not seeing clients one-on-one. As much as I love my clients, I have a database of like 3,800 clients. You know, that's a lot of clients that I've seen since 2018. So it may be that the field work where I've learned my craft and learned how to do it is waning. And I want maybe to either teach astrology only or something like that. You know what I'm saying? All right. That's about it for us Aquariuses. All right, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, hallelujah. You're going to have some change of neighborhood. Good luck staying where you are. Haha. Whatever you think your neighborhood is. I'm in the ideal neighborhood. I live in, Brooklyn Heights, and I'm never going to move. Well, I don't think so. Mars is moving and travel and trips. Uranus is sudden, and North Node is that breaking down, breaking through, breaking free of your neighborhood, your local environment. But it's also trips and travel, and it's a big boom there. You could have an opportunity coming up into July, first week of August, for trips and travel, or someone may travel to you. And the idea is that it's a very engaged area of your sky. And why I like this is that it's also connected to travel because it is at the Sagittarius degree, which is about travel. So for some of you Pisces rising, sun and moon, there is an opportunity to travel, but also to change your neighborhood in which you live. Your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, or friends from elementary school, big boom, may suddenly show up in your life, and they're maybe bringing something to the table for you at the end of August. Here comes a thunderstorm at the end of August into July. Into July, into early August. And also you've got love from Venus in the house of romance, muse, inspiration, pleasure, play, your children, and sexuality. If you're a single Pisces rising, sun or moon, and if your single Pisces rising, sun or moon vibe is between the degrees of 15 and 21, this looks like a huge new relationship. There's no doubt about it. Your ascendant is trining that Venus, baking into this exciting trip, travel, neighborhood activity. So going to a pub, going to a bar, going to some new place in the neighborhood, meeting the love of your life, very possible. And the big boom would change your neighborhood somehow, or change your local environment. If you're a creative artist and Venus is in the fifth house, lending her hand, the third house is your ability to suddenly break through on the online world, social media platforms, or even in the space of the bars or the communities in which you'd play your music or show your art, the galleries that would host you, and all of that. So you can see this like powerful energy of the next 15 years being really about that third house. And if you're a writer, this is a super placement for sure, because this is a house of writing. Now, blogging, writing, that kind of thing, communicating, all of that. Saturn is in the house of hidden enemies, and he's in opposition to your expanding third house and the new direction you're going in. Watch out for him, especially around the first 10 days of October. What kind of gnarly backroom person is not helping you by any means, and some kind of authority figure in the back end is like trying to undermine you, perhaps, but also it could be your own self-undoing, because it is a house of sabotaging ourselves or undoing ourselves. Saturn's going through here until March, been there since December 20. This is going to be your time to clean out your karmic closet, to get rid of your psychological, social, and mental, emotional junk, get rid of your addictions and bad habits and self-defeating strategies. So it could be you undoing you yourself. Watch for resistance from your subconscious. Mercury in your sixth house. Well, this could be a colleague, co-worker, or somebody that has a karmic debt relationship to you, or it could be something to do with debt in general. That sixth house is debt. Mercury is news. Is there news from a debt holder? Do you owe monies to somebody? Do you have credit card debt? This is something very gnarly going on. A big boom. You might change your neighborhood dramatically. You might change your country. Maybe you'll escape a debt. Maybe a debt is going to surface in some way, and it's going to have an exhilarating breaking through energy because a sibling pays off your debt, right? Third house is a house of siblings. So there's all kinds of ways that can play out. It can relieve you of debt for sure, but it also puts your debt in your face as well. And then the long arc, of course, is positive because of the sextile from Venus. But look at that first week of October, the first 12 days, because that's where you're going to get a real handle, I think, anyway, a real handle on how this neighborhood thing plays out. All right, I had a terrible feeling I wasn't recording. I think a lot of you know that I did this whole recording was an hour and a half the other day, and the recording stopped at 30 minutes because I stopped it and forgot to turn it on. I stopped it to get a fan. So I was hoping that I hadn't done that again, or I was just going to shoot myself. Hell, even my top is all twisty. It's supposed to be like this. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Here's the deal. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit my bell for notifications. Please consider taking one of my courses. Sky Reader is enrollment open. Yes, no, early bird notice, get on the list, starts in October. My Divine Timing Masterclass for intermediate astrologers teaches you arcane, little known timing techniques that are easy to learn as long as you know the basics of astrology. That's going to be going on in September. And Rock Your Astro Biz is scheduled for August the 6th, but I may have to push it forward because it looks like I'll be on the road traveling that day unexpectedly. But if you want to get an astrology business because you've studied astrology, you learned it, and now you don't know how to make money effectively, how to get your business jump started, I can't say you'll do what I did, which was make six figures in my first year or first year and a half and consistently since then, but I can give you the basics and I can get you going on it. All right, everyone, thanks for listening. I really, really, really appreciate all of you out there for supporting my channel. I wish you the very best in the paradigm reality shifting breakthrough, breakdown, break up, break free coming our way, courtesy of the triple conjunction on July 30th, August 1st, and 2nd. Ciao, ciao.